to Story Hour with Zac, Sips with Zac, Snacks with Zac, whatever. We haven't decided what we're gonna call it yet, but welcome to the story. So today's story is not gonna be a funny or horrifying story like I've told in the past. Today is gonna be a story of my own first wedding. I am divorced, by the way. I did follow my own advice, but still ended up in divorce court. But here's the story. So my ex-partner and I had decided to get married. It was actually very romantic. He proposed to me on the beach in Carmel, California, which is a beach I spent a lot of time on as a kid. It's where my grandparents lived. And yeah, so he proposed there after we'd been together for about 6 months. So my whole family was like, 6 months, it's not very long. But we decided to have a small wedding. And he was from Texas, and my family is all over the world, and friends are all over the world. So we decided we were gonna do a destination wedding. We were living in Dallas at the time, and decided Los Angeles would be the best place for us to get married. Easy for my father and his wife to get there, my mother, all the guests. But everyone thought we were gonna have a huge wedding just because of kind of who we are socially, and I'm an event planner, wedding planner, so they thought it was gonna be one of those big, over-the-top, crazy weddings. And because I plan weddings, and because I do events, we decided to keep it small. We didn't have a small budget per se, but we had only 15 people at our wedding. And for us, the things that were really important were our our best friend at the time. She was there, and she represented our community. Everyone else was family. And 15 people, 4 of which were under the age of 15. We held it in Los Angeles. We rented two different units in the American Cement building, which is architecturally a really cool building. Ceremony was in a recording studio with like Persian rugs and pillows, and it was actually this guy's apartment and recording studio. And then our reception was upstairs in a photography studio that was completely white, had one big long table down the center of it, and the whole thing was about cocktails and food, because that's what we're all about, and that's what my family is all about. And so we had this amazing Peruvian meal and drank multiple cases of champagne and partied all night long. Point is, there were 2 things that came out of that wedding. We knew we were gonna upset some friends, because there were a lot of friends that felt they were close enough to us to be invited to our wedding, and a wedding of a normal size, they would absolutely have been invited. So that was one of the downsides. That was one of the things I learned at that wedding. It was really important to have personal conversations with people, even though I did have some. Not everyone was really thrilled that they weren't invited to our wedding. But again, it's what worked for us. The point of all of this is, when you are deciding what to do, the scale, the scope, the size, you want to make sure you take your community into consideration. For us, I still wouldn't have done it any differently, because it's exactly what we wanted to create. But we also had to deal and be aware that by making that decision, we were going to be hurting some people's feelings. It's to pay off what matters. So yeah, so look at your weddings, do what you want to do, really get creative. You know, one of the great things about LGBT weddings is that there really is no precedent. So a lot of same-sex couples have kind of done their own thing. They've branched out, and that has allowed heterosexual couples to question why this tradition or that tradition needs to be included. They can manage their expectations in a different way. So that's my own personal belief, that I felt like now that we can have all different kinds of marriage, people are getting more creative and really creating experiences that are specific to them, and maybe acknowledging some traditions, or maybe not. It's up to you. But just don't do themed weddings. Whatever you do, just don't do themed weddings.